Nkoli adjusted her wedding gown nervously as she stepped out of the sleek white car parked in front of the church. Her best friend, Purity, held her hand tightly, offering a reassuring squeeze. Purity, dressed in a stunning lilac bridesmaid dress, looked at her and smiled. "You look beautiful, Nkoli," Purity said softly. Nkoli tried to smile back, but the knot in her stomach made it difficult. "Thank you, Purity," she replied. "I just hope everything goes smoothly." Welcome to Afro Tales TV, your home for rich, exciting, and inspiring stories from around the world. Today's story will touch your heart and keep you hooked till the very end. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our amazing stories. The two women walked toward the church entrance. The sun was shining brightly, and the air was filled with the sound of chirping birds. The decorated church doors stood open, revealing rows of seats filled with friends, relatives, and well-wishers. Everyone turned to look at the bride, their faces lighting up with admiration. Nkoli glanced around, scanning the crowd for Chike, her husband-to-be. Her heart sank when she realized he wasn't there. Neither was his best man, Israel, who was also Chike's closest friend. She tried to calm herself, thinking they were probably running late. "Where is Chike?" Nkoli whispered to Purity, her voice trembling. Purity looked around too, a frown appearing on her face. "I don't see him either," she said. "But don't worry, maybe he's stuck in traffic or something." Nkoli nodded slowly, but she couldn't shake off the uneasiness creeping into her heart. Her mother, Selina, who was seated in the front row of the church, noticed her daughter's worried expression and quickly walked over. "Nkoli, what is going on?" Selina asked, her brows furrowed. "Where is Chike and his family? They are not here." Nkoli shook her head, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't know, Mama. I'm as confused as you are. They should be here by now." Selina's face tightened with concern. "Have you called him? Maybe he's on his way." Nkoli turned to Purity. "Have you heard anything from Chike or Israel?" Purity shook her head. "No, I haven't. Let me try calling him." Nkoli pulled out her phone and dialed Chike's number. Her hand shook as she held the phone to her ear. The call went straight to voicemail. Her heart pounded harder. "He's not answering," Nkoli said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Try again," Purity urged. Nkoli dialed the number again, but the same thing happened. She then tried Israel's number, but he didn't pick up either. "Why is no one answering?" Nkoli cried, her voice rising with panic. Purity placed a hand on her shoulder. "Nkoli, calm down. I'm sure there's an explanation for this. Maybe their phones are on silent, or they're on their way and can't answer right now." But Nkoli wasn't convinced. Her mind raced with questions. Where was Chike? Why wasn't his family here? Could something have happened? She looked around the church again, hoping to see Chike walking in with his charming smile. But all she saw were guests whispering and exchanging worried glances. The murmuring in the church grew louder. People were beginning to notice that something was wrong. Nkoli's mother took her hand, trying to comfort her. "My daughter, don't think too much yet," Selina said gently. "We will find out what is going on. Let's wait a little longer." Nkoli shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "Mama, this isn't normal. Chike would never do this to me. Something must be wrong." Purity stepped in, her tone firm but calm. "Nkoli, you need to breathe. Let's think about this logically. Maybe he got stuck somewhere or there was an emergency. You know Chike loves you. He wouldn't just disappear on your wedding day." Nkoli's chest tightened. "Then why isn't he here, Purity? Why isn't he answering his phone? Why isn't his family here? They're not even the type to arrive late to anything." Purity opened her mouth to respond, but closed it again. She had no answers. She pulled Nkoli into a hug instead. "It's going to be okay," Purity whispered, though she wasn't entirely sure herself. Nkoli pulled away, pacing back and forth in front of the church. The flowing train of her white gown trailed behind her, catching the attention of the guests seated nearby. "I need to call him again," Nkoli said, dialing Chiki's number for the third time. Once again, it went to voicemail. "Cheek, where are you?" Nkoli whispered into the phone, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Please don't do this to me." Selena joined her daughter, holding her hands tightly. "Nkoli, let's wait a little longer. Maybe he's on his way." Nkoli shook her head in frustration. "Mama, I can't just stand here and wait. I need answers." The murmuring inside the church grew louder. Some of the guests began to step outside, trying to catch a glimpse of what was happening. "What's going on?" one woman whispered. "Why hasn't the groom arrived?" "This is so strange," another person said. Nkoli could feel their eyes on her, their whispers piercing through her already fragile state. She turned to Purity, desperation in her voice. "What if something happened to him? What if he's hurt? Or worse?" Purity grabbed her shoulders gently but firmly. "Nkoli, stop thinking like that. We don't know anything yet. Let's give him a little more time." Nkoli wiped her tears, her heart racing. "I can't wait anymore, Purity. I need to do something. I need to know where he is." Purity sighed, pulling out her own phone. "Okay, I'll try calling Israel again. Maybe he'll pick up." She dialed Israel's number and waited. The phone rang, but there was no answer. Purity hung up and tried again, but it went to voicemail this time. Nkoli clenched her fists, anger and fear boiling inside her. "Why is this happening? Why today of all days?" Purity wrapped an arm around Nkoli's shoulders. "Nkoli, I know you're scared, but we'll figure this out. Let's not jump to conclusions." Selena nodded in agreement. "Yes, my daughter. Cheek is a good man. He wouldn't just abandon you. Let's pray for his safety." Nkoli closed her eyes, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside her. She didn't want to think the worst, but the longer Chike stayed missing, the harder it was to believe everything was fine. "God, please," she whispered under her breath. "Please let him be okay." The minutes felt like hours as Nkoli paced the church entrance. Purity and Selena stayed close to her, doing their best to keep her calm. But the nagging questions in her mind wouldn't go away. Where was Chiki, and why wasn't he here? Nkoli stood at the church entrance, her mind racing with fear and confusion. "Driver," she called, her voice shaky. "Take me back to the hotel. I need to check if Chiki is in his room." Purity quickly grabbed Nkoli's arm. "Nkoli, are you sure? Maybe we should wait a bit longer. What if he's already on his way here?" "No, Purity," Nkoli replied, her voice breaking. "Something is wrong. I need to find him." The driver nodded and opened the car door for Nkoli. She stepped in hurriedly, her wedding dress bunching around her. Purity followed close behind, her bridesmaid dress brushing the ground as she climbed in. The car sped off toward the hotel, leaving the church behind. Nkoli sat silently, staring out of the window, her hands clenched tightly on her lap. Purity placed a hand on her shoulder. "Nkoli, please calm down," Purity said softly. "We'll find him. Let's not jump to conclusions." Nkoli didn't respond. Her mind was filled with questions. Where is Chiki? Why isn't he here? When they arrived at the hotel, Nkoli jumped out of the car before it even came to a full stop. She ran through the hotel lobby, her heels clicking loudly on the tiled floor. Purity rushed after her. "Nkoli, wait!" Purity called, but Nkoli didn't stop. She headed straight to the room where Chiki had stayed the night before. She knocked on the door, her heart pounding in her chest. When there was no response, she turned the knob and pushed the door open. Nkoli's heart sank as she stared at the neatly made bed and the untouched belongings. It was as if no one had been there at all. She stepped inside, her knees feeling weak. "Cheek?" she called softly, hoping for a response. But the silence was deafening. Purity entered the room behind her, her face filled with concern. "Nkoli, he's not here," she said gently. Nkoli turned to face her, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Where could he be, Purity? He was here last night. We even talked on the phone and had a video call. He was excited about today. So why isn't he here?" Purity shook her head. "I don't know, Nkoli, but we'll figure this out. Let's not lose hope." Nkoli couldn't take it anymore. She ran out of the room, through the hotel lobby, and straight to the roadside. She was so overwhelmed that she didn't even think to get back into the car. "Nkoli, stop!" Purity shouted, running after her. "Get into the car. We'll find him, but running around like this won't help." Nkoli stopped in the middle of the road, her chest heaving as she tried to catch her breath. She looked around, as if expecting to see Cheeky walking toward her. When she realized he wasn't there, she finally turned back toward the car. "I'm sorry, Purity," she said as she climbed back into the car. "I just don't know what to do anymore." Purity followed her into the car. "Let's go to Cheek's house," she suggested. Nkoli nodded. "Driver, take us to Cheek's house, now." The car ride felt like an eternity. Nkoli stared out of the window, tears silently streaming down her face. Her chest felt tight, and her mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Purity sat beside her, holding her hand for comfort. When they finally arrived at Cheek's house, Nkoli didn't wait for the car to stop completely. She opened the door and ran to the gate, her wedding dress billowing behind her. She knocked on the gate loudly. "Cheek, are you in there?" she shouted. There was no response. She knocked again, harder this time. Still, no one answered. Nkoli pressed her ear against the gate, hoping to hear any sound from inside, but all she heard was silence. "Why is the gate locked?" Nkoli said, turning to Purity. "Where is everyone? This doesn't make any sense." Purity joined her at the gate, trying to peer through the small opening. "Nkoli, maybe they're not home. Let's wait a little longer." Nkoli's legs gave way, and she sank to the ground in front of the gate. Her tears fell freely now, her sobs racking her body. "This can't be happening," Nkoli cried. "Just last night we talked. He was so happy about today. So why isn't he here? Where is he?" Purity knelt beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Nkoli, I know this is hard, but you have to stay strong. We'll figure out what happened. But sitting here and crying won't bring him back." Nkoli shook her head. "I can't leave, Purity. What if he comes back? What if he's inside and can't hear me?" "Nkoli, we've been here for hours," Purity said gently. "We need to go back to the hotel. Your parents are waiting for you." Nkoli finally nodded, her strength completely drained. Purity helped her up, and they got back into the car. Nkoli leaned her head against the window as they drove back to the hotel, her tears never stopping. When they arrived, Nkoli went straight to her room and began packing her belongings. Purity watched her silently, knowing there was nothing she could say to ease Nkoli's pain. Back at her parents' house, Nkoli's mother, Selena, rushed to her side as soon as she walked in. "My daughter, what happened? Did you find him?" Nkoli shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "No, Mama. He wasn't at the hotel, and he wasn't at his house. I don't know where he is." Selena hugged her tightly, trying to hold back her own tears. "It's going to be okay, Nkoli. We'll find him. Just trust God." Nkoli's father joined them, wrapping his arms around his daughter. "Nkoli, you need to calm down. Whatever is happening, we'll get through it together." For days, Nkoli couldn't stop thinking about the failed wedding. She barely ate or slept, and every time she closed her eyes, she saw Cheeky's face. She cried herself to sleep every night, wondering where he was and why he had disappeared. Months had passed since the heartbreaking day when Nkoli's wedding fell apart. Her days were filled with sadness, and her nights were consumed by tears. Her parents tried to cheer her up, but nothing seemed to help. She had stopped calling or texting Chike, hoping he would reach out, but he never did. One evening, Nkoli sat in her small bedroom scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly. As she scrolled through her social media feed, her finger froze mid-swipe. There, staring back at her, was a picture of Chike. He was smiling, dressed in a fine suit, standing next to a beautiful woman in a sparkling wedding gown. The caption read, "Forever and always." Nkoli's heart pounded as she stared at the image. Her hands trembled as she clicked on the lady's profile. Her breath caught in her throat as she went through the wedding photos. "This can't be," Nkoli whispered, her voice trembling. The date on the wedding pictures confirmed her fears. Chike had married this woman on the same day they were supposed to have their wedding. She scrolled through the comments, each one congratulating the couple. "No, no, no," Nkoli said, shaking her head as tears rolled down her cheeks. Anger bubbled up inside her. She couldn't understand why Chike would do something so cruel. She quickly grabbed her scarf, slipped on her sandals, and stormed out of the house. Her mother, Selena, called after her. "Nkoli, where are you going?" "I need to settle something, Mama," Nkoli said without turning back. The evening breeze was cool, but Nkoli's body burned with anger. She flagged down a bike and told the rider to take her to Chike's house. When she arrived, the gate was wide open, and Chike's car was pulling out. She hurried inside before the gate could close. Chike stopped the car when he saw her. He stepped out, looking surprised but not pleased. "Nkoli, what are you doing here?" Chike asked, his voice cold. Nkoli's eyes filled with tears as she stepped closer. "Chike, why did you do this to me? What did I ever do to deserve this kind of pain? You abandoned me on our wedding day, and now I find out you married someone else that same day." Chike's expression hardened. "Nkoli, leave my house. I don't owe you any explanations." Nkoli stood her ground, shaking her head. "No, I'm not leaving until you tell me why you did this. Why would you hurt me like this, Chike? I deserve to know." Chike sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "Fine, you want to know? I'll tell you." Nkoli held her breath as Chike stepped closer, his face etched with bitterness. "Nkoli, do you remember 5 years ago?" Chike began. "We were so in love. We had plans, dreams, everything. But life wasn't easy for me then. I was struggling, barely making ends meet. And what did you do? You left me." Nkoli's eyes widened, but she didn't interrupt. "You left me," Chike continued, his voice rising. "You chose to marry a rich man, someone who could give you the life I couldn't. You threw away everything we had because I didn't have money. Do you know how that felt? It destroyed me." Nkoli's lips trembled. "Chike, Don't," Chike cut her off. "5 years later you came back. You said your rich husband abused you, that he nearly killed you, and you wanted a second chance. You apologized, begged me to take you back, and I did. But not because I forgave you. I took you back to punish you, Nkoli. I wanted you to feel the same pain you caused me." Nkoli gasped, stepping back as his words hit her like a punch to the gut. "I asked you to marry me just to get back at you," Chike admitted coldly. "I wanted you to know that you can't eat your cake and have it too. Life doesn't work that way. You hurt me, Nkoli, and I wanted you to feel what it's like to be left broken." Nkoli's knees felt weak. Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head. "Chike, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. It's too late for apologies," Chike said, cutting her off again. "I'm happily married now. I've moved on. You should too." Nkoli couldn't speak. Her throat felt tight, and her heart ached. Chike turned and walked back to his car. Without another word, he got in and drove off, leaving Nkoli standing there as the gate slowly closed behind him. Nkoli stood outside for a long time, her mind replaying Chike's words over and over. Her tears blurred her vision as she began the long walk home. Each step felt heavier than the last as she reflected on her life and the choices she had made. She realized how much she had hurt Cheeky in the past, and now it had come back to haunt her. She blamed herself for everything and vowed to change for the better. She decided it was time to let go of the pain, forgive herself, and focus on becoming a better person. As she reached her home, her mother was waiting at the door. Selena rushed to her daughter and held her tightly. "Nkoli, what happened?" Selena asked, worry etched on her face. Nkoli shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "Mama, it's over. Cheek is gone and it's all my fault." Selena stroked her daughter's hair, whispering, "It's not the end, my child. This pain will pass and you will find happiness again. Trust God and trust yourself." Nkoli nodded slowly, determined to rebuild her life and never let her past mistakes define her future. Moral lesson: treat people with kindness and respect, no matter their situation. Think carefully before making decisions, as your actions can have lasting consequences. Forgiveness is important, but hurting others in revenge only causes more pain. Life may give you second chances, but it's important to value and use them wisely. Learn from your mistakes and strive to become a better person. Thank you for watching this story on Afro Tales TV. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share with friends and family. We have more beautiful stories coming your way, so subscribe and stay tuned. See you in the next one.